Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2024, so it's time to start the slate fresh. So I bring back my main men, Gino Bacola and Seminar Skip. And gentlemen, first of all, Happy New Year. And second of all, we're going to take a look at the first coast-to-coast pick five, Gino. And it looks like a very good sequence.
Very exciting. We'll have these wagers now for the next few months, every Saturday and every Sunday. And the format of them is really nice for the players because it's a $1 wager, which means it's a little more difficult to play. You can't necessarily just spread around and use all the horses you want. It gets a little too expensive. It's a 15% low takeout, and there's no consolations, and it'll carry over to the next day. So these things always pay really well, even when they're formful. Because it's low takeout, it's a little bit more difficult to put a ticket together. So these are great if you're someone who plays with a bankroll. Maybe you don't have a ton of money every weekend to play with. This is one of those bets where maybe you can try to take a shot at every Saturday, Sunday, feel really good about, hey, maybe I can focus in on a wager like this that'll pay me back really well if I hit it.
And as Gino was alluding to there, Skip, with the 15% takeout and the $1 minimum, the average payout for last year was a little over $11,000 for this particular wager. So a lot to look forward to here in 2024, Skip.
100%. And I'm so glad that this wager is back. I remember I hit a couple of them last year. They weren't the $11,000 range, but I was alive for one real nice one. And I took one horse out, and that's the horse that, of course, cost me. But I'm so excited about this wager. I've been waiting for it, and it looks like a great one. I love how they do the Gulfstream and the Santa Anita. You know, Gulfstream with all the grass racing, which I love. And the two of them tomorrow on the grass, or at least we think so. They're supposed to get some rain, but we'll see. I handicapped it for grass. So I'm looking forward to this wager, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Yeah, and let's dive right in, gentlemen. So leg A is actually Gulfstream Park Race 9, which begins at 4:06. That's Eastern time. So that's 1:06 Pacific. And Gino, let's start with you. What are we looking at in leg A?
Yeah, we'll have a couple 3-year-old grass stakes races on the card at Gulfstream Park. Actually, 3-year-olds are kind of the key all across the country. We have 2 graded stakes races for 3-year-olds at Santa Anita this weekend. One Saturday, one Sunday. You've got the Jerome at Aqueduct with Kentucky Derby points up on the line. And then you have these fun stakes races for newly turned 3-year-olds. In this race at Gulfstream Park, a couple horses that are on my radar for sure. I want to start with Yada. I like the 10 in here a little bit. Yada's last 2 races, she chased lone speed winners. One of them was actually out here in the Jimmy Durante when Zona Verde went gate to wire in that race. Prior to that, she was behind another wire-to-wire winner at Keeneland. So the last 2 races, she ran really well. She was just up against it. She was in races that did not shape up for her at all. 3 starts back at Laurel, she ran really well that day too. She was a step slow. She ends up having to go really wide, and she's in a photo for second. And if you look at the way this race shapes up with Omaha Girl, Time to Dazzle, Waskaisu, San Penalado, Buttercream Babe, you've got Independence Avenue, you've got Golden Ghost, even a horse like Life's Inaudible, they all want to be either on the lead or sitting pretty close to it. I think there's going to be a bunch of horses all jockeying for a position. This should be a race that Yada finally gets a trip. Murphy won 2 races over there today on the dirt. He's starting to really get a feel for it and starting to pick up mounts. It's a very talented rider there. So Yada, no doubt on the ticket for me. I'm taking a swing against Life's Inaudible in this race from that post coming off the bench starting the year. I don't think this is the game plan for the best effort from Life's Inaudible. They probably want to be better for races down the line. So I take a shot against. I use horses like the 10 Yada, the 5 Time the Dazzle. I mentioned Waskaisu. Those will be in the mix for me. Of the shorter prices, I prefer Ozara. I think that's the horse to beat in here who will get a really nice trip. So I mentioned 4 horses. They'll all be in the mix for me. And I'll probably be playing some win money on the 10 here as well.
As Gino was talking about it, and they would say in Seinfeld, yada, yada, yada. Who else do you have, Skip, in this sequence?
I'm with Gina with Yada, but I'm going to go 6 deep in this sequence to start it off because I'm going to go light late. I'm going to use the 4 Azara. This horse has won 2 of 4. It hasn't won like real impressive, but the horse shows me a little grit that, it's there at the wire. It's a racehorse. It wants to kind of has that fighting spirit and wants to beat you. I got to use the 6, Wasakio, or however Gino said it. He said it better than I did. I love that comeback race in November. Took a little break from August to November. One going away. I put that on my horse to watch list. Very, very impressive. The time was good too, 1:42.1. I like that one. I'm going to use the 7 stretching out, Santa Peleo, 10-1 with Johnny V and Bill Mott. And then I'm going to use Golden Ghost also. I love the fact that it showed speed the 2 out of the 3 times. And then finally at Del Mar, they took it back a little bit. It settled nicely and it won really nicely under Tyler Gaffleone. So I'm going to use the 4, the 6, 7, 10, 11, and 12. I don't want to use the 12. I know exactly what Gino said. This isn't the prime race for this horse. This is just to get it going again. But boy, those last 2 races, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf, hard to justify. I'm a big fan of. This horse ran second to that horse 2 back, so I have to throw it in the mix. So that's where I'm at here.
All right, so in leg 1, we seem to be spreading and a little bit against the morning line favorite at 2-1, Life's an Audible. Let's move to leg B. That would be Gulfstream Park, race 10. We're going 6 furlongs here. Skipper, what are you looking at here?
This is tricky. Valiant Force, the 2 horses, 7-5. It's never raced on the dirt. It's bred for the dirt. But boy, this horse sure ran a real good race in the Breeders' Cup. It kind of got off bad and came flying to lose by a half length. I have to use this horse. Usually I would go against these turf to dirt races. But I just, with the breeding with this one, I mean, it's all dirt. It's actually more dirt, I think, than it is grass. So I'm going to use the 2, but I'm not going to single it. I'm also going to use the inside horse, the 1. This horse is coming from Tampa. I don't know if it liked Tampa, but the race that it won at Gulfstream, I liked that it broke its maiden. It's on the rail. It's got speed, but it showed that it could sit and wait. I think Wasai is jumping aboard. This horse, they paid $250 for it. And I think this horse is going to get a great trip. It could either go to the front, and if people go with it, it could get a good trip from the inside, and Saez could take hold. So I'm going 1-2 in here.
All right, 1-2 for Skipper in leg B. Gino, you have anything else to add in Gulfstream Park race 10?
Yeah, for me, what concerns me just about the 2 horses that are 7-5 and 9-5 on the morning line. You have Valiant Force, who Skip was talking a little bit about. Not only has this horse never tried the dirt, he's not fast early either. That's what also concerns me. He's not that quick. So is he going to have to come from way out of it in his first start on the dirt at Gulfstream Park, where you probably don't want to be closing and coming from way out of it? I don't even know how much speed there is in this race. I think there are 3 or 4 horses who will be forwardly placed. I don't know if they're going to be rocking and rolling up front. Skip mentioned the horse who I have to use, Sir Flash. What happened last time at Tampa, he broke in, he got bumped, and he was towards the back right away after being on the lead in both of his first 2 starts. So it was just a totally different complexion for this horse. He moves through the inside about 2 lengths off. He's traveling really well. He gets this dream opening up the inside, and he moves through it, but then he just stops. You could tell he wasn't sort of used to running that way, coming from off the pace. I think he's going to be a lot more forwardly placed in here with Saez from the inside. They're going to go and try to get aggressive. The other horse who I want to use for sure is the outside horse, Steeler Mischief. They need a little bit of luck this weekend if they want to try to sneak into the playoffs, but Tomlin did get that 500 streak. So 17 years in a row, Steeler Mischief. What I like about this horse, kind of flipping versus like Cuban Thunder or versus Valiant Force. At least this horse has shown some speed, some tactical speed. And at a sprint distance, wasn't that far out of it. At Hawthorne, you have to be pretty quick on the dirt over there sometimes to keep up. This horse sat a few lengths off sprinting on the dirt at Hawthorne and then has gone long 3 times in a row. And in those races was more forwardly placed. Now you get a cutback and the blinkers on. I think they'll still be close and they'll be a lot fitter. I can't really use Cuban Thunder in here. This is a horse who could be really far back, cutting back in distance here. So I'm going to try to chuck the chalks in this one too. I looked at the inside, the outside, maybe even a toss on Ship to Shore, who's got a little sneaky dirt form there. And I think the 3 might be another one. If you're trying to beat the favorites, maybe a horse you throw in.
All right. So some first 2 legs, we're looking at probably some vulnerable favorites here is what both of you seem to say. And the sequence only gets more interesting as we go along. So now we can realize how this has been paying an average of $11,000 because they don't make these sequences early or easy whatsoever. And especially with the $1 minimum, it's very interesting and the payouts have been very lucrative so far. So the third leg C, would be race 5 at Santa Anita. Now I've narrowed it down to 3 horses, and I want to get your guys' opinion if you would add anybody else in here. The lukewarm favorite is a horse on the outside of the 11, EJ Won the Cup. I'm not going to use that horse.
Nope. Me neither.
The 3 I'm going to use, the first one would be the 2, Money Makes Money at 4-1 on the morning line. If you watch the replay of this in this horse's first race, broke very slowly, was checked on the turn, was full of run late, and just looked like this horse has plenty of talent for obviously a trainer who's 6 of 11. I don't know what he did today or if he had any runners. I was very busy, but 6 wins, 11 starts.
Or he did not beat, but it actually looked like he beat EJ Won the Cup, even though they were right on the wire together. EJ Won the Cup, got the most perfect trip, sitting just off the pace, while this horse had all the traffic to deal with that you mentioned, missed the break, came running. There were 3 horses out of that same race. Money Makes Money was way, way better. I need 3 in this race too. Let's go to the other one. Who's horse number 2 for you, Chappie?
All right. The second one would be El Rey Rey, the 3 horse at 5-1. This horse has actually ran twice. First time on debut, had an absolutely brutal trip. Was broke slow, had a lot of trouble, ran on late. Then they stretched it out the last time. And, this horse flew late to lose by a neck, was kind of stuck in the back. I don't know if they told Abel Cedillo to just sit and make one run, but he seemed to check a few times, just ever so slightly.
It looked like he might be quirky. Like he might be a sort of tough, hard horse to ride. It sort of seemed like that.
But I think he's got more speed than shown. Also, he can be more tactical. That's the key to it. And now Flavien Prat jumps aboard. This horse doesn't need to be at the back of the pack and make one run, even though they're cutting back to 6 furlongs. And I think this horse has a lot of talent and some athleticism. And then the third one is the 10 Island Cruiser at 4-1, who in debut broke from the rail. Maybe they could call it the typical Rosario ride. This horse was morning line favorite, broke slow, sat, absolutely exploded late. Rosario comes back in town. He's back this weekend to ride again. And, going from the rail to the outside, which we always think is a big deal. I think this horse has plenty of talent. So you're talking about 2 4-1s and a 5-1. Those are the only 3 I'm using in here. So, Gino, that was one of yours. What were the other 2?
Yeah, and the horses you mentioned are super live. That's why it's such a fun, challenging race. And we both feel like you don't need to use EJ Won the Cup, who's super talented, but now they're going to go a little bit farther. If I were on him and maybe Maldonado was this time, I would just tell them to just go and not try to sit off. I would say that's how to ride him and see, can you open up a couple lengths and just try to wire this field? I'm going to hope he doesn't, because I'm going to use the 2. The 4 is one that I'll have on my ticket, Di Medici. This horse has got some ability, but he has been green as grass in his 2 starts so far. And our buddy, the sniper, Barry Spears, he calls this the makeover package. When you see a horse, they're a first-time gelding, they're getting blinkers for the first time, and they're getting Lasix for the first time. So they're making a ton of changes to try to get this horse a little bit more focused, because you can see he's got some ability. That debut race, he was 4th behind Nisos, who came back to win next time out in a grade 3 race, earned a 97 Beyer speed figure in winning. And the 2nd and 3rd place finishers in that race, Urban Legend and Colorado Cruiser, they ran 1-2 in a maiden special weight race on opening day there. That Colorado Cruiser battled back on the inside. So that's a tough race, first time out. Trouble last time. We saw Dettori have a really nice day today. I thought the December 29th work was improved too. If you could watch it on XBTV, it looked just more comfortable, better than this horse had looked in the first 2 starts. And then let's get to the grass. 2 of 5 siblings won on the turf. So now all of a sudden I look at a horse like this who just checks a lot of little boxes at a massive price. I wanted to throw in, I thought the 7 Uncharted was also a player on the cutback. Lord Bullington came back, just won the Eddie Logan last week. This horse ran well going 6 furlongs and should be a little bit fitter now. You'll see a lot of these horses that are turning 3 or that are coming out of stakes races that get Lasix for the first time. So just keep an eye on when you're handicapping. A lot of these horses will be getting that, and some of them could take big steps forward with that.
And Skipper, you any other direction you want to go?
No, I was going to go 2, 3, 4, and 10. I'm glad Gino mentioned the 4, De Medici. This horse, we've talked about it on the radio show a couple times. That first race was very sneaky against Nisos, and that horse was climbing and proved it ran in spots. It looked like it was going to almost get pulled up on the turn, and then Rispoli got it outside and it came running on again. It doesn't look like much because the winner won by 10.5 lengths. This horse got beat 13. So if you're just looking at the form, you're not going to see that. But if you watch it visually, you'll understand what we're talking about. Last time it broke from the rail and kind of did the same thing. I think that's why McCarthy gelded this horse. He knows it's got talent. Geld it. Let's try to get, put the blinkers on, Lasix. I like Dettori jumping aboard, and I think this horse might show more speed with the addition of blinkers. And I like the work on the 29th. So I like the same ones you do. I'm against EJ won the Cup. So we're all on the same page here.
And a couple wrinkles to add here is one thing is Frankie Dettori maybe obviously heating up. He had a big day today here at Santa Anita. And the second thing, if you notice, these are all 3-year-olds in a maiden special weight. As 2-year-olds, they could not run on Lasix. Right. Now they all can run on Lasix. So 10 of the 12 horses are first-time Lasix in this race. So just adds another wrinkle to the sequence that looks very difficult. All right, let's move on to leg E. That would be race 11 at Gulfstream. We're going a mile on the turf here, Skip. Another stakes race, the Diana Beach. What are you thinking?
I'm spreading in this race too. I mean, the favorite on the outside, that's the right horse, and the probable favorite, it's 8-5, Pletcher and Irad Ortiz Jr., but I like a couple other price horses. I think the 8, Edgar Town, switching to Graham Motion now, and we just talked about Murphy, he had a couple more winners today. He's a great jock. He's starting to really come into his own at Gulfstream. At 15-1, that horse has got to be on my ticket. Palm Tree, I like that one. I bet it last time, and it made a move. It just kind of was gradually getting there. I like the blinkers addition. I think it will make this horse more focused. Air Recruit, I've been a big fan of that horse. I bet it first time out at Colonial Downs, and then I bet it back again in that stakes race, and it got third, beaten 7 lengths by a Wesley Ward horse. No name Mets that won nicely that day. Then they stretched it out, and I was very impressed with that one. Last time it showed the lead in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and got tired late, but didn't get beat that bad. It only got beat 3 1/4 lengths. One other one I have to mention is the 5. I liked its last race. I think this horse should get a great trip, and at 6-1, I'm using it. So I'm going to go 5, 6, 7, 8, and 10 in here.
At this point, I think we might have to pool our money together. The three of us have a big
This is where I have to shorten up. Yeah, this is where I have to.
$800 ticket between the three of us so far. Are you singling here, Gino?
I'm gonna go too deep here. Skip mentioned the horses though. They both come out of the very same race. They were right next to each other. I'm gonna go 5 and 7 in here. Horses that are middle-ish prices. They won't be favored in this race. Same thing. Agate Road absolutely could win this race, and I would say I prefer Agate Road to the other horse that we talked about earlier, because Agate Road's running style, the outside post probably won't hurt this horse as much if they're just going to drop back and make one late run. But I'm going to take 2 horses that have the benefit of a recent race under their belt, and they're horses who might be a little bit more now horses versus, Air Recruit and Agate Road, who again, maybe they're starting here. Maybe we play them back next time or 2 times down the line. The 5 Reminder was 9th early on in that race last time out. And remember, that was his first turf start. And he had been a horse that had been sitting closer more recently. He was way out of it, about 7 lengths off. He angles out, and then he has to alter course back to the inside. Then he has to go all the way around again. It was sort of weird. He went in, out, and then back out again. They just were trying to figure it out. They didn't want to stop his momentum, but he cost himself a little bit just being a little indecisive and not exactly just picking a lane. He just misses that day. He's way out in the middle of the track, like closer to the outside rail than the inside rail, way out there. And Palm Tree sort of got a little bit of a jump on him and just missed too. And Palm Tree was out pretty wide. Both of them actually have a little bit more speed than they showed in their last race too. I don't think they'll be on the lead, but they can sit a little bit closer. So I'm going to try to get out of this race when I think a lot of people will have. This is a tough race. It's not that I don't want to use others, but from a ticket building strategy in this race, I'm going to look at and say, I'll take 2 horses that are going to be in the same-ish price range, around 5-1, that I think will both run well. Can I just make it here, get out of here with not a whole lot? Then I can have a few others to close things out.
Yeah, we're just going over all the logicals in here, and obviously, you form your own opinions, and many times as well, you might be 5 deep that you like, and maybe single in there, because you got to take a stand somewhere, especially with these dollar minimums and these big fields and competitive fields. That's why it's paying $11,000, but somewhere along the line, you got to take your chance. And then we go to the last leg, and the water gets even deeper.
Yeah.
We are in race 7 at Santa Anita, 6.5 furlongs down the hill, Gino, which we always love the down the hill course. And this is another tough one to me. What are you looking at?
Yeah, this is a super challenging race. Again, I'll mention 2 or 3 that I need. What's so difficult about handicapping this race the first time or 2 through is the pace scenario is murky, meaning the 3 Boss Bride on paper is probably the lone speed, but you have a horse that comes in from Turf Paradise and raced at Assiniboia sometimes, so you don't always know how that'll translate over. And then after that, there might be 4 horses who could all maybe be on the lead or right behind them, but they don't need it. Like Cast Member is one of those, and Irresistible Force is another one of those who could absolutely push through. You also have Tickle My Fancy, who could be right there, especially with Maldonado. They missed the break last time out, but they want to sit a little bit closer, and it'll lead me to the horse who I actually like because I think they have a little versatility, and I love the way this horse ran down the hill 2 starts back. That's Diamonds Danzig, who actually steps up a little bit and faces open company here. But I just think from a trip standpoint, if she can sit within a few lengths from the outside, I think that'll just put her in a really advantageous spot in this race, because I have questions about some of the others, but I think she will be forward. And with Mike aboard, he's just not quite as aggressive, right? I just don't overall think of that. And I think it's worked out well for this horse. The 2 times he's been aboard most recently, she's run really well in both of them. So I want the 8 for sure. I'm going to throw in the 1, Lunar Impact. If you look at who Lunar Impact has been facing as of late, he's going to go through her company. 2 starts back, she was behind Ruby Nell, who has won 3 of the last 4. You see Lunar Impact beating Star of the Night, who comes back to win next time out with an 80 Beyer speed figure, which would stack up pretty well in a race like this. So I think the 1's in the mix for me. 1, 8 for sure. Probably 1 or 2 others that make their way onto my ticket, but those are 2 that I will for sure use to try to close this thing out.
The horse I thought that was interesting, Skip, as far as the replay, and like Gino said, is the pace scenario. And he did mention it a little bit, was the 5 Irresistible Force at 8-1. This horse look a big horse, has big long strides. Hasn't ran since June, but one of the works, it wasn't one of the more recent ones, but on XBTV a few works back, this horse looks to have some talent. And I think that's the one of the prices that's a must use for me. Obviously, Cast Member, I know Cast Member's been facing Calbreds only, but Cast Member has some talent, certainly, and one on debut. So that this horse hasn't ran in almost a year, but that doesn't deter me whatsoever. Skip, is there anybody else you wanted to add in this race?
This is my single. I know it's a difficult race, but I absolutely love the 4, Miss Lizzie. I love the way that she won last time. She hugged the rail on the backside. She had to steady slightly. She tipped out at the top of the stretch and finished fast and strong to blow by them. I love the gallop out. Her ears were up. Her numbers are getting better each race. 3 back, she got off slow, blocked. And that horse Kissed by Fire has won like 3 races since then, 2 or 3. That was Lone Speed that day. That was impressive. And then at Santa Anita, the 2 back, Brush tipped out, gaining, just missed. Last time they stretched out at Del Mar, and I just love that race. And to compound that, on the 24th, the work, I didn't put good work. I put great work. Go back and watch that at XBTV. This horse, it beat a horse in company, but the way that she did it and the gallop out of that, this horse is doing great right now. And I love her coming down the hill. 2 of her 3 wins have been on the Santa Anita turf course. And I love when they go from a mile cutting back to this downhill turf course. So Miss Lizzie, I love. It's probably my best bet tomorrow. And I love the price at 5-1.
So Miss Lizzie,
you'll get that. It's going to be a challenging race. I think you'll get that for sure.
Yeah, I agree. And that a 5-1 single, that's somewhere along the line. It's a perfect way to end it. And that's a horse that you like, that's going to be a spread race for most people. And that's, if you're right, that's what it takes. So any last words?
Bletchards, though, think about it. This is a very challenging sequence, especially if you are playing it sort of like I am. And I don't think those 2 Pletcher horses that are drawn to the outside are going to win those races. You beat those horses, and then they pick the 2 right races at Santa Anita that are really challenging and very, very wide open. So last thing too, Chappie, Saturday, not only do you have the Coast to Coast Pick 5s on Saturdays and Sundays now, you also have those Pick'em contests, totally free to enter. Pick'em.santanita.com. $500 to the winner every Saturday, Sunday. Set a little alarm on your phone. That's what I do for like 30 minutes before first post. It'll remind me a little Pick'em just to fill out my entry, because if you fill out one every time, there's actually a prize at the end of the meet for who has the most cumulative. But you want to make sure you don't win that thing, because Zizi may come after you if you do, because she's become the perennial champ of that one. But free action every Saturday and Sunday. Pick'em.santanita.com.
That's right. And we've been talking here about the Coast to Coast Pick 5. Remember, $1 minimum, 15% takeout every Saturday and Sunday through April 7th. Average payout last year, over $11,000. So join in tomorrow. First post for the sequence is 4:06 Eastern. That's 1:06 Pacific. Gentlemen, thank you very much. See you in the morning. Everybody, good luck. We'll talk to you next week.
Happy New Year, everybody.